I try to give games the benefit of the doubt, but when you see just so much of this game has just been put in a negative spotlight, and after last year with the whole Elden Ring Ubisoft conversation about UI design, it's just hilarious to me that Rocksteady went full force with it's a visual mess of a UI. Again, we'll see how this game turns out, but just nothing about this experience has been going positively, at least in terms of marketing. Battlefield, it is preparing for the future as we're getting ready, I guess, for a new Battlefield game in the coming years. We got this recent announcement, I guess, from EA. Future Battlefield games are aiming for the most realistic destruction effects in the industry, which is kind of what I feel like every single Battlefield game says, but it feels like the last couple of entries have kind of taken it back a bit, so hopefully they are truly committed to giving an actual Battlefield experience, not doing this mashup of Overwatch, Call of Duty, and all of the other popular shooters. The biggest mistake that EA made the last couple of years is trying to pivot away from the game's DNA. It has failed miserably, and finally 2042 is enjoying some success as of late because they leaned into what players want, an actual Battlefield experience. Ghostwire Tokyo released a couple of years ago, and there was something very weird about some of the English subs, or at least one specific line. It was the fact that it said an all property is theft. The truth is that that line was mistranslated, and the actual line was supposed to say, well, I'm not sure, which how do you have such a disparity here? Some people believe that there's a bit of a problem happening in these translations, not necessarily just in video games, but in anime and such, in which we have a lot of political and just incorrect translations being made, I guess, to put whoever these translators are, their political perspectives in these media, this stuff. It doesn't really make any sense, but very quietly, it looks like the team behind Ghostwire Tokyo finally fixed this mistake. A very weird one, but again, it's becoming a common problem in this industry. But before we dive into further gaming news, today's video is brought to you by Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, an action RPG launching January 26th on PlayStation, Xbox, Windows, and Steam, featuring a new story, fast-paced combat, minigames, and other activities to get lost into. This adventure spans the Pacific, and for more on this latest Yakuza installment, a word directly from Sega.
Welcome to paradise.
Aloha! All right!
I can show you around now. But there's a few things you need to learn before we have a good time. You can have a little fun with some friends. And even pick up a new skill. Whatever you do, be careful. Even paradise can have its secrets.
You trying to tell me there are Yakuza in Hawaii?
Not exactly something you'd find in a guidebook, is it?
Keep your friends close. And your enemies closer.
Name's Dwight.
Nice to meet you.
Take cover!
Electronic Arts recently was under a lot of fire over Apex Legends promo art. The issue with this art was the fact that it looks like it was AI generated. AI has become a hot button issue within this video game industry the last couple of months, and I would say the last year or so, especially in terms of video game actors and how their voices are being used in some of these AI situations, and then obviously art, in which a lot of gaming companies are being caught using AI art instead of hiring artists, which that's going to be an increasing problem in the next couple of years, and I don't know necessarily what the answer to stopping these companies from doing that, because they're looking to save money, and that is the easy solution. And it wasn't just Electronic Arts that came under fire recently for this. Wizards of the Coast also got caught doing this for, I believe it was some card art for Magic of the Gathering. They originally came out with a statement saying that no, this was not AI generated, that's ridiculous, and then furthermore people were like, no, this legitimately looks like it is AI generated. There's no way an artist would make this stuff. And then they went back and said, oh, yeah, actually it was AI generated. We made a mistake. We screwed up. oopsie daisy. A lot of companies getting caught with this in the last couple of months, and it feels like it's going to only continue into the future. Now, on the topic of AI, Square Enix has decided to jump balls deep into this, just like they did the blockchain nonsense, which really has gone nowhere the last couple of years within the video game industry. But Square Enix put out its annual little letter to investors and everybody saying that they plan to be aggressive with their use of AI to create new forms of content. I believe that generative AI has the potential to reshape what we create, and a lot of video game developers, artists, everybody in this industry kind of scoffed at these remarks. And this led to a very interesting revelation with a new Square Enix game which is releasing very, very soon, and it's Foam Stars, and it actually contains some AI generated art. And it has been met to some uproar within this video game industry from many developers and designers, which find this insulting. Like I said, this is not going away. This is going to be something that is going to be becoming more and more common, and the question mark is, does this replace jobs with these AI solutions? Stalker 2, probably one of my most anticipated games of 2024. We got a new announcement revealing that the game is in fact delayed again, this time to September 2024, because GSC Game World has said that they need to fix some technical imperfections, which I am perfectly fine with. Again, 2024, I don't really have that many games I'm really eagerly getting excited for, but Stalker 2 is just one of those games that I've been waiting for years, and I really cannot wait to play it. And if I have to wait a little bit longer to have a better experience day one, more polished experience, I'm a-okay with that. Since its announcement a couple of weeks and months ago, The Last of Us Remastered has been met to a why is this happening and why is this needed PlayStation. It does feel like this is kind of a waste of resources. That's been my perspective on it, at least. I just feel like there's so many other games that could be deserving of this attention, but a game that released 3 to 4 years ago getting this treatment just doesn't feel needed. And that's why the debut trailer was met to, well, 80,000 likes to 120,000 dislikes. And yeah, the top comment on it being that this franchise now has more remasters and remakes than original titles, and that is a factual statement. Some of the reviews have come out for this new experience. We had this from Digital Trends. The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered turned the original game into a cruel punchline. And the takeaway from this article is specifically that this wasn't needed, and it really isn't a remaster. It's a director's cut, and it's exactly what it should have been called. We also had another review coming from the Video Games SI, I think the Sports Illustrated, saying The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered review. It's good DLC wrapped in a pointless remaster of one of the best games ever made. How do you even score something like this? And how do you score it? Well, it gets universal acclaim because it is The Last of Us 2, and I think a lot of people are just reviewing the actual, quality of the game and rather not necessarily looking at the remastered side of it, which that's a conversation for another day. But yeah, 90% of critics recommended the experience with its overwhelmingly positive reviews. It is interesting that Naughty Dog, a developer, did come out saying that they didn't understand consternation about The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered. If it's not for everyone, that's fine. And this developer said he doesn't get some of the consternation, meaning dismay or distress surrounding its release. It's the best way to play The Last of Us Part 2. If you're a new PlayStation owner and new to the franchise, we want to get you the best experience with all the hardware features on PS5 native, and he goes on and on. You kind of understand his perspective on this. And I don't think this developer understands. It's just that it's something that the majority of the gaming community feels like Naughty Dog could be spending more time on other projects, although it seems like other projects have been getting canceled lately, a la, their multiplayer live service experience, which went nowhere. So regardless, some of the pictures and stuff of it, there's clear enhancements have been made, and then there's also, if you look at the overall visuals of some of the cutscenes, it just looks like the exact same experience. But you do get director's documentary, there's a guitar free play mode, there's a couple of other new unique modes, but it doesn't really feel like a true remaster, which I think that's the problem that a lot of people have with it. Activision Blizzard is a different company now. They are a new company under the Microsoft umbrella, and with Bobby Kotick no longer as CEO of the company. We are also getting some interesting revelations about the company now that Kotick is no longer in charge. One of those being that how Kotick, sabotaged Overwatch 2. This coming from a developer saying, breaking my silence to share a fun fact. When we planned Overwatch 2's Steam launch, my team warned months in advance that we were going to be review bombed. We begged for more information, more details, and more resources to help us with the anticipated influx, all flatly denied because Bobby Kotick and Activision Blizzard don't really care about reception. They care about money, and that's the only thing that they looked at. But hey, again, like I said, this is a new Activision Blizzard. Will Microsoft run it successfully? Only time will tell. The Halo TV show, season 1 was a disaster. It was so many problems with it, but Season 2, some of the marketing for it has looked better. It's going to be doing the whole Fall of Reach arc, and that's somewhat exciting. But one thing that has been noticeable with the marketing is that we just cannot stop seeing Master Chief without his helmet on. And this led to a response coming from the actor that portrays the character, and it was something that got a lot of people upset. It also makes absolutely no sense. In his statement, he said, "You're not going to be able to bring in an audience along in a long-form story without having access to a character's face, which tells you what they're feeling, how they think about everything. That access to a character's emotional life over the course of time is what makes you empathize and connect with a character. I'm sorry, but it's the only choice for a long-form storytelling in television. What I would say to anybody who disagrees with that, I totally respect that opinion, but it's a pretty basic place to start with when you're talking about making a television show of quality, which is an insane thing to say, especially when like Darth Vader exists and also The Mandalorian, the successful TV show, a character that it worked extremely well not seeing Pedro Pascal's face. And even Katie Sackhoff, who played Bo-Katan on that show, had a statement that pretty much conflicts with what Pablo Schreiber, I think that's who plays the Master Chief in that TV show. Regardless, every time I want to get excited for the Halo TV show, more stupid stuff from the production team and everybody associated with that production comes out, and it just makes me believe that they do not understand or care enough about Halo to be making this show in the first place. Stellar Blade is probably one of the more anticipated PlayStation games of the year. We actually had Nier Automata's director coming out, I believe it was last year, or actually it was actually only a couple of weeks ago, and he said that he was excited for the experience, saying, "I was surprised how amazing his new work Stellar Blade is. It's a dreamlike product where you can do action battles with extremely high quality 3D graphics while keeping the beautiful girl characters of King Hyung-tae. I can't help but look forward to its release." And there has been controversy associated with this beautiful character because of the fact that they concentrate on her butt in some of the marketing, and she looks good. She looks sexy. That's the best way to describe the character. And as we've seen, especially in the Western sphere, with a lot of video game characters, especially female characters, things have changed quite drastically, and any sexualization of female characters has been met to kind of uproar and scoffing, while male characters, it has not been the same treatment. It's weird. But this specific topic resurfaced after a post like this went viral on social media. In Stellar Blade, our protagonist Eve's body figure was actually based on a 3D scan of the Korean model Shin Jae-yoon. Stellar Blade currently has a release window of 2024. And as you can see in this very short video, it shows the character, this female individual posing in a bathing suit, and it looks nice. I mean, it's objective fact. She looks great in this. And then you compare it to some of the clips that have gone viral. This was in 2021. This is why there has been uproar about how Western media has treated some of these video game characters. And this isn't just a topic about Stellar Blade. It's just video game characters in general, especially compared to East versus West. This is what Digital Foundry said back in 2021, which has been reemerging, and a lot of people have been talking about it.
I know you were talking about the character from a bygone era. I do think the character model was actually very distracting in not a good way, because with the camera angles chosen, it just felt like this game seems like a game that came out in 2002 in terms of its character design. It's a bit old and not flattering, I don't think, for a modern audience in comparison to something like Forspoken, which has yes, it has a much more realistic looking character designs. It's not these hyper proportioned something or another's, but it also seemed, a bit more grounded in a way that I found much more appealing than what we saw here.
From a general standpoint, I do agree with you, but I do think Project Eve, when it comes to facial construction, it does have some merit though, because the characters look very different. It's just that once you go, neck down, there's a lot of issues on display.
That's the problem. Yeah, that's the problem.
I'm not going to dive too far into the conversation surrounding characters like Aloy and Mary Jane, those PlayStation characters, and the conversation that has surrounded them, as well as Fable. But I will say that there is a clear divide on how female video game characters should be handled. And it does seem like in Western media, it kind of bleeds out every once in a while in clips like this. I would love to know what everybody else feels about this in the comments down below, but I feel like some of these development studios are definitely doing disservice to some of the female actors that they are capturing in these games with some of the design choices that just feel kind of off-putting. And I don't want this to be some people taking this as like, oh no, he just needs sexy character, but it does feel like sexy male character is okay, but sexy female character is treated to a different standard, if that makes sense. Ubisoft has done something very dumb again. The one company that I'm so frustrated with a lot of their design choices and a lot of the games they choose to make the last number of years. I really do want to love so much of them, but there's just so many different problems with them. So recently, Ubisoft, their subscription boss said consumers are still used to owning games and they kind of want to change that, which a lot of gamers very much do not want to hear that, especially because we are looking at the death of the physical games media. I mean, it's looking at us right in the eyes, as so many different video game, the notorious places are changing it up. They're not selling physical media anymore, and we're probably just a couple of years away in which many different games are just not going to have physical launches anymore, which it's going to be very disappointing and upsetting, but I feel like that is the road ahead, especially in this current digital age. But specifically, this is what Ubisoft had to say. They're Ubisoft's SVP, Senior Vice President of Strategic Partnerships and Business Development, Chris Early, predicted a future where the physical game sales continue to decline, but says he doesn't think they'll ever go away completely. The point is not to force users to go down one route or another. We offer purchase, we offer subscription, and it's the gamer's preference that's important here. And he continued saying, one of the things we saw is that gamers are used to, a little bit like DVD, having and owning their games. What a surprise. That's the consumer shift that needs to happen. They got comfortable not owning their CD collection or DVD collection. That's a transformation that's been a bit slower to happen in games. The thing is, all these companies care about is making money, and people owning games, that is a problem, and they want that to change. So Ubisoft saying this very loudly. As gamers grow comfortable in that aspect, you don't lose your progress. If you resume your game at another time, your progress file is still there. That's not been deleted. So it's about feeling comfortable with not owning your game. I still have 2 boxes of DVDs. I definitely understand the gamer's perspective with that, but as people embrace that model, they will see that these games will exist, the service will continue, and you'll be able to access them when you feel like that. That's reassuring, which is an absolutely fucking insane thing to say, especially when this was a major story just last month, not even 30 days ago. Ubisoft game The Crew was delisted after 9 years, will soon become unplayable, which, the only way... the problem with this one actually is even if you have a physical disc, you can't play it because of Ubisoft servers shutting down, and I believe that game is an always online experience. So it's not just this game specifically. There's been many other examples, especially in regards to Ubisoft, in which they're turning off servers and delisting games, but this is a widespread industry problem, and the fact that we're looking to subscriptions and people not owning games as a solution is just absolutely insane to me. If you own a disc, if you have a disc, you should be able to pop it in and play the game. That's my opinion. And the fact that there's going to be a future not having that's frightening to me. But this does continue because we did have some reactions coming from the gaming industry. We had CD Projekt's GOG.com responding to this situation, saying, you should feel extremely comfortable with owning your games on GOG. They're DRM free. This came just yesterday, and this is definitely a reaction to Ubisoft's the recent controversial statements being made with subscriptions. And somebody did ask, what is DRM free? GOG saying, owning the things you buy. We don't believe in controlling you and your games here. You won't be locked out of titles you paid for, constantly asked to prove you own them. This is DRM free gaming. And personally myself, I love GOG. I use it often. That is kind of my go-to with gaming, but that's just me. I am personally a very big fan of GOG and support it. As of recording this video, we actually got a lengthy statement coming from Larian's own CEO, Sven Vink. He said, whatever the future of games look like, content will always be king, but it's going to be a lot harder to get good content if subscription becomes the dominant model and a select group gets to decide what goes to market and what not. Direct from developer to players is the way, and I could not agree with this more. But he continued, he said, getting a board to okay a project fueled by idealism is almost impossible, and idealism needs room to exist, even if it can lead to disaster. Subscription models will always end up being cost/benefit analysis exercises intended to maximize profits. There's nothing wrong with that, but it may not become a monopoly of subscription services. We are already all dependent on a select group of digital distribution platforms, and discoverability is brutal. Should those platforms all switch to subscription, it'll become savage. And especially this coming from Larry in a studio that just a number of months ago really wasn't a household name and now is because of Baldur's Gate 3 success. I think that what Sven Vink is saying here, it holds a lot of weight. But he does continue. He says, in such a world, by definition, the preference of the subscription service will determine what games get made. Trust me, you really don't want that. And then he did a TLDR saying, you won't find our games on a subscription service. Even if I respect that for many developers, it presents an opportunity to make their game. I don't have an issue with that. I just want to make sure the other ecosystem doesn't die because it's valuable. We also had Larian's director of publishing mocking some of the statements being made by Ubisoft, specifically the one that said one of the things we saw is that gamers are used to a little bit like DVD, having and owning their games. WoW figured that out all on their own. Yeah, Ubisoft just loves to make themselves look very dumb, very stupid, and this was yet another stupid statement coming from a company that feels like they're kind of walking on eggshells these days, especially because it feels like every once in 10 years you have a good game. Like Prince of Persia right now has been met to a lot of critical acclaim, and it feels like, again, maybe in 10 years we'll have another game that's met to that same critical acclaim. And it is also worth mentioning that we have Skull and Bones, which is going to be launching in a couple of months, and I'm sure I'll be covering that on the channel, because if you think that launch is going to be successful, I have a bridge to sell you. Back in 2022, we got a very surprising announcement coming from Remedy Entertainment and Rockstar Games, and it was the fact that they were partnering up on a new project. It was going to be a Max Payne 1 and 2 remake of sorts. We haven't really got too much information since 2022 about this project, but we know that it is in active development. I believe after Alan Wake 2, this is now what Remedy Entertainment is concentrating on, and as somebody who still has the original Max Payne 1 and 2 sitting on a shelf, I really am kind of excited to see what Remedy can do with a remake of these beloved games. That's why it came as a bit of a shock to everybody, the announcement the other day that Take-Two Interactive and Remedy are right now in a major dispute, legal dispute, over our logo. Yes, our logo. This is Remedy's logo, which has this new little R, and then Rockstar Games' notorious one. They look very different, but the fact that Rockstar Games is now disputing this, or Take-Two Interactive, the bosses of Rockstar Games, it's just very wild, especially because they have a working relationship and they're going after them for their new logo. As this Eurogamer article says, Remedy revealed this logo in a blog post back in April last year. The bold in the letter R in the old logo represented the era of Max Payne, but the Remedy of now is much bigger than a single game, but we have a whole portfolio of games, new and old. It was time to update and redefine our visual identity to bring more consistency, showcase our evolution over the years, and better express our vision of today's Remedy. The new logo is a stylized R. This has been opposed by Take-Two as there exists a likelihood of confusion on the part of the public. You can tell me, you can look at this R and R, I don't think there's going to be any confusion, but Take-Two Interactive is still going full force. This is what they are known for. They love these, they're very litigious. Eurogamer continues, 2 trademark claims for variations of the logo were filed in May, shortly after the logo was revealed. Both claims were opposed by Take-Two. As of September last year, both claims remain opposed. And the 2 logos, it's just one with the actual R and then one with the Remedy under the logo. But we'll have to see what happens with this situation. It is an ongoing dispute, but again, Take-Two Interactive has a history for doing stuff like this. This happened a couple of years ago with the indie developer Hazelight Studios, Joseph Ferry's game It Takes Two. It was met with a trademark dispute by Take-Two Interactive, and that one, at least, it's a little closer. You know, It Takes Two, Take-Two, I can kind of understand that to a degree, but that ended up leaving Hazelight Studios to abandon its It Takes Two trademark. Jesus, words in my mouth, having trouble with it right now, but yes, Take-Two Interactive very much has a history of this, and yes, the internet right now is on fire, upset with Take-Two Interactive for this behavior, but this is just who they are and how they conduct business, and they will not stop with this, unfortunately. Anyway, a lot happening in this video game industry. We're starting off the year with a lot of different news. Let me know your thoughts on all of it down in the comment section below, but thank you for watching. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy this video, or if you found any informative value, and consider subscribing for more videos like this, and I'll see you later.